Okay, so here we are talking about the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is a very important cycle of matter in science, and what it does is it's going to show you the process. We're going to talk about the process of how carbon moves throughout everything that we have on our planet. So we're going to be filling in the diagram in a minute, but I want to start with, at the bottom, our fun fact about carbon. So what you need to know is that all living organisms contain carbon. So when we're talking about carbon moving throughout the planet, it's due to the fact that if anything is alive, it has carbon inside of it. So that's how we're going to be working through this process. So what I want to start with is up at the top, where we have the sky represented in our diagram. So we're going to be filling in this box. And if you're doing this on the computer, this diagram is a Google drawing. So if you double click, it will open the Google drawing and then you can type in it. So the top box, what it's showing is carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And what that's doing for us is the atmosphere basically stores a lot of carbon dioxide. If you see the arrows, a lot of it's being sent to the atmosphere and some of it's being removed. So we're going to start on the right side where it's being removed. So one of the things that happens is that CO2, carbon dioxide, dissolves in the water or the ocean. So when it's dissolved, if you notice, the arrow is basically staying here. It's not leaving, which means a lot of it is going to be stored here and it's going to stay here. Some of it will get released. A lot of it will not. I'm going to make this a subscript really quick so that I can use this guy for later. If I can, I don't know if it'll let me do that. Let's find out. Nope, it's not going to let me. Okay, no worries. Nope. Okay, so the CO2 will dissolve and it's going to stay in the ocean. Another process that removes carbon dioxide is we have photosynthesis by plants and algae. So remember that photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide to operate, so it's going to remove a lot of that carbon dioxide and go into the plants. And you can see it's going into the tree and going into like kelp or algae. So then sometimes you'll have these animals and these plants, they will die eventually, and they're going to fall over. And what happens to their body, you remember from elementary school, is that they decompose. So you have decomposition of dead organisms by decomposers. Okay, so your decomposers will break down the dead plants and animals, and it will return the carbon into the soil for it to be transferred somewhere else. So another thing that can happen when something dies is, if you're looking at this animal here, so sometimes we can have fossilization of dead plants and animals. So it doesn't just happen all the time. There has to be very specific situations for it to occur, but remember there's fossils that turn in, or bones that turn into fossils, and sometimes plants, and so that's one of the ways that the carbon will end up here. If you follow this path, this arrow follows up here to the factory. The factory is taking a lot of these fossil fuels and it's going to burn them. And that's going to, the smoke or this whatever is going to release the carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere if you're following the pathway here. So it's going to be the combustion of fossil fuels. Okay. And then you're looking here, you see that they're showing carbon being transferred into the animal. So remember that photosynthesis creates sugar, which has carbon in it. So if we eat the plants, humans and animals and everybody else they eat plants, they're going to end up with carbon in their bodies from the sugar. And the last part here is that notice they're showing releasing from the animal and from the plants. This is going to be cellular respiration. By animals and plants. Remember, they both perform this process. That's going to send carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. The carbon cycle is not a perfect circle. Carbon can go in any direction at any time, and it can end up staying there for a while. It just kind of depends. It can take millions of years for a carbon atom to move through all of these parts. So it just depends on the particular path that it takes, and sometimes it's just by chance. So this is the diagram, so we're going to slide down to the bottom, and we're going to fill in these blanks. So this is going to give you details about the top part. So plants and algae are going to take in carbon dioxide, and they're going to convert it into sugar, which is going to use sunlight and water. Okay, and again, this is one of the only processes that we have that will remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. In cellular respiration, animals and plants, so we're going to use cellular respiration. So all living organisms perform cellular respiration. Use cellular respiration to release, remember, energy / ATP. ATP is the form of energy. For biological processes. This is also going to release CO2 into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. There's your carbon being released. So what I want to focus on as we end here in a minute, I'm going to talk about it being released. Decomposition, you've got fungi, mushrooms, and bacteria. Decompose dead organisms, and also organic waste, which will again release more CO2. Let's see. It'll let me do it now. So we're going to format. Some script. There we go. Fossilization under specific conditions. Dead organisms can fossilize over thousands and millions of years and can form fossil fuels. Okay, and again, those fossil fuels then are going to be combusted, which is burning of fossil fuels, known as combustion. This releases vast amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere. So we've got releases up here, cellular respiration. We've got releasing more CO2 here. And at the bottom we have releases again. So we have three ways that we're releasing carbon dioxide, and really only one way that we're removing it. Okay, so photosynthesis is the only actual process that we have to remove excess carbon dioxide. We know that the CO2 dissolves in water, but then all of it can go there. So what's happening is we have lots and lots of ways that it's being released into the atmosphere up here, which is where the greenhouse effect comes in, because excess carbon dioxide is going to make the atmosphere feel warmer, and that is where the Earth is where that's coming from, is the Earth is getting warmer. So there is a nice balance here on the right side, but when you throw in this left side, it messes the whole balance up. So something you need to think about. The last part here is the carbon reservoirs or carbon sinks. They mean the same thing. They're going to absorb more carbon than it releases. Okay, your examples of that are going to be the atmosphere and the hydrosphere. For the hydro means water. So mostly your oceans and your other bodies of water are going to store carbon. So the atmosphere stores carbon as carbon dioxide. The hydrosphere stores carbon as carbon dioxide. So that's how the cycle works. So we're going to be using these notes today to power our activities for the rest of the week. So make sure that you understand these and you ask questions in class or send me a message if you need help.